Hi, Taurus rising sign. Here is your weekly forecast starting on the 16th of February until the 22nd of February. So, we're going to have pretty much some very nice aspects this week. So, hopefully, that's going to be boosting morale a little bit. This week we have got the Saturn Neptune conjunction happening as well, but I have made a separate video about that. It's super detailed. So if you haven't visited it yet, then you might want to be referring back to that because this is a life-changing transit. Also, we have got a new moon, a solar eclipse happening in your 10th house. Even though I'm going to be touching very briefly on it, but it's available for my members, a very in-depth dive into that. So if you would like to check out my membership, go on my website, AstroViktor.com, and you can see what I can offer. This is a brand new membership. I don't think anyone does something similar at all at the moment. So hopefully you will find it beneficial for yourself. So let's get going with the very first aspect, which is Mercury in Pisces, trining Jupiter in Cancer. This is switching on your 11th and 3rd houses. And I can really imagine that you are ready to launch, for example, or this day could be very good for launching a project. Maybe you are just launching it online or to your neighbors, kind of like pitching ideas. And this is an aspect where you get an immediate support. You can get overwhelming kind of like amount of emails as well. So just watch out for making something as clarifying as possible. Or you might be meeting up a mentor of yours, just for a casual coffee, and they offer you the exact advice that you needed. This could be a creative collaboration as well. For example, you write a piece of content with a friend of yours that can go popular, viral. But in order for you to achieve that, this should have an emotional depth to it. Or maybe it's a quick weekend getaway, and that could be bringing you that aha moment as well. Yes, this is what I would like to do for the long run. So it can give you a lot of ideas of what exactly you do. Or you might be receiving an email from a former colleague just as you were thinking of them, or a friend of yours is giving you a call when you are thinking of them, and so on. Now, Mercury is the ruler of your second house. So this could really talk to you about you are thinking about how to boost your finances. And therefore, you might be selling an idea to a bigger organization and so forth. And this might be an indication that they would love it. But this could also be a healing conversation, for example, through group activities, some fun activities with a child of yours, as Mercury is the ruler of your fifth house, too. Now, Venus is super nice this week. Venus is making a conjunction to Pallas Athene, then North Node, then Pallas Athene makes a conjunction to North Node as well. So we have got a triple conjunction happening. And this is about social connections, which you can benefit from in the long run. This is a strategic collaboration. You scratch my back, I'm scratching yours as well. It's about investing into a group of people, or even aligning your values with a group of people as well. I can imagine that you are being asked to kind of like lead a project, for example, for a community event. Maybe this is about organizing a birthday party and so forth. This is highly beneficial actually for you, I must say, because you are ruled by Venus. So this is about the realization of your path. This is about the realization of the type of work that you want to do, and it looks like that you are approaching it from a very fated point of view. This is a meeting an ally potentially, meeting a person in a professional setting, maybe, who feels like a soulmate. Um, a soulmate is not necessarily from a love point of view, but this is more of a, you know what, it's meant to be a meeting. Or this is about you manifesting your dreams, a long held dream. That might be potentially getting the green light. And maybe it's just all about strategic moves. Even it can indicate that you are integrating a new system, a software, for example, that might be helping your social goals. Even I can imagine that you go for this swimming session with a group of people, with a friend of yours, and then you have got the time of your life, or it's just simply a social event. Now, the best week of the year is Venus and Jupiter trine. And this is super good because both of them are exalted, so they can really deliver. And this is about abundance when it comes to the friends. You know, an abundance of advice they can give you, the abundance of emotional support, which can really lift your spirit up. This might be just a casual lunch with a friend of yours that turns into a mastermind session, you know. This is around a social media post or a message you share from the heart, and that can get a massive, warm response from your community. And this can even indicate a breakthrough in a relationship with a sibling or a neighbor, and which might be leading to something more profitable. This is a meeting, potentially a meeting where you get a yes. So it's brilliant for job interviews, asking for a favor, something that you might be kind of like shying away from, or you feel a little bit humiliated by having to ask for a favor. But you can really get the yes, you can really get the support that you need. You can even get certain type of funding, for example. Or maybe you're going to stumble upon a local event, uh, which sounds amazing, and then we are considering to go for it. Now, you might be wondering, how is that lucky for me? Because you can bump into a person who will be able to help you in the long run. Because remember, we do have got North Node there also. A bit of a challenge, though, is that Sun in Aquarius, which is in your 10th house, squares Uranus in your first house. Now, this is not just a sun, actually. This is an eclipse. This is a new moon eclipse and squaring Uranus really tightly. Now, this is something that I'm going to be talking to you about in depth on my membership site. So if you would like to know a little bit more, you can consider joining us. But there is a sudden ego clash with a boss, for example, that leads you to realize that you need to work for yourself. You need to work on yourself. You need more freedom. I mean, you know, this is about me having a radical haircut, for example, so we can change our physical appearance or we can recreate our brand as well, or we can publicly go through an outburst. You know, it's kind of like being caught off your guard in a meeting and saying exactly what you think, regardless of the consequences. So you need to be watching out for that too. You know, or imagine that your computer dies right before a big presentation and, you know, you're going to have to kind of wing it. You know, you're going to have to use your natural charisma to actually convince the boss that you are the right candidate for something. Or this might be a sudden job change or sudden job title change, a professional direction that is going to be changing for you. And you might feel very liberated, but it is somehow leaving you unsettled as well. There is the excitement, but there is the fear behind it also. Very next up is asteroid Urania enters Aries, which is your 12th house, and immediately makes a conjunction to Saturn and Neptune. So it really feels like that you might be designing this complex project or a business plan behind the scenes, and it just feels kind of like a divine order. Or maybe you are gonna be starting practicing some astrology, some spiritual work. Maybe you start monitoring your sleep cycles a little bit. Or you are ready to identify generational patterns of restriction and using specific spiritual strategies to break it once and for all. Or even it can indicate that you are meeting a spiritual teacher. And it's kind of like the enlightenment type of energy. So either you get those through meditation, sleep, but this is somehow a little bit of a spiritual warrior type of energy for me at least. Sun spotlights your 11th house straight after that eclipse. And this is attending a workshop, attending a social event where the conversations moves past the small talk and then it goes into that very spiritual connection. Or this is about you receiving like a dream team, like, and you're gonna enjoy the connection with those people. So this could bring up the topic of collaboration, a group project, and yeah, it can feel like it was meant to be. Or you might be dedicating some time of yours to a cause, your long-term goals, and so forth. And then that kind of softens your heart a little bit. Maybe this is a goal you have been dreaming about, and you might get the support. You get the nodding from someone among your friends, or you can even clear out some misunderstanding with a friend as well, because Pisces is about forgiveness. It's about empathy, and that might feel like it's the right thing to do. Remember that the sun is the ruler of your fourth house. So this could even talk to us about that I am about to be going on a social event with my family. Yes, unfortunately, this could also talk to us about a loss of a family member as well. Mercury is also in Pisces and makes a sextile to Juno in your ninth house. Again, you might be joining a group, an organization, and then we commit with a friend of ours to a long-term moral, kind of like philosophical blueprint. Or you might be ready to go and study, put a study plan together, put a teaching plan together. You might realize that I have to finish a degree or I have to study something new so that my career can take off even better. Or you can be having these casual chit chats with a friend, and that could actually lead to a formal introduction to a different circle, to a professional person. Um, One very important meaning of the 11th house is often forgotten, but this is about hanging out with the right people so that you can benefit from it later on. So you might not be able to see immediately how I have benefited from knowing that person, but in the long run, this might be something that actually becomes super useful. I can even imagine that you sit down with a partner to kind of put down the actual dates or even deposit for a dream trip. Or, like I said, even it can be a piece of advice from someone you deeply respect, and that might be actually kickstart you somehow towards your long-term goals. So it could be a tip, a hint where things are leading and what's meant to be happening. So this is your weekly energy patterns overall, Taurus rising sign. I think I would be monitoring that Venus because Venus is doing super good this week. Venus North Node and then straight after running into a Jupiter trine. So whatever is going down with that Venus North Node, which feels like a fated love, some event happening at work or a realization about your own body, and you get the blessing for it. I don't think it's a new piece of information for you with having Jupiter retrograde. So this might be something that you have contemplated on for a while, but maybe you haven't dared to put it into action. Even though there is no much action involved by Mars this week, but I recommend getting started with the Jupiter and Venus trine because this could be something that is super exciting and it can turn out super good. So imagine that you would like to be on a social media channel launching, your very first video, or you want to be doing some marketing plans. This could be a day to do so. So good luck, Taurus, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.